Going to call this meeting to order. President Dami is absent. There's no public comment on closed session agenda items. With that, we'll adjourn to closed session. Go ahead and recall this meeting of the City Unified Governing Board to open session. If we could please rise to the pledge of allegiance. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any requests for agenda reorganization? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward to our student reports.
Good evening to the board and audience. I just wanted to start off and wish you all a very happy new year. I hope you all enjoyed your holiday and the 3-week break. I miss it so much. And with the start of the new year, our students are now in their new classes. Yesterday was our first day back and our students got to meet with their new teachers and their new classmates. And now as school is back in session, our school and leadership have been extremely busy. Tomorrow is the first day of our new schedule. We will be moving our Falcon Hours to Wednesdays. If you're unfamiliar with Falcon Hour, it's an hour allotted out of Thursday each week so students can meet with teachers in classes they're struggling with or they just need more help on. And now we'll move it to Wednesday because teachers prefer that better. It works for them so they don't have to have 3 separate schedules throughout the week. Instead, they could just have that one reduced class schedule. And we're hoping that our teachers really enjoy it or prefer it and it helps them out. Our winter sports season is also starting up. Yesterday, our basketball girls won a game against Bella Vista, so we're extremely proud of them for that. And we'll have lots of soccer and basketball games as well as wrestling coming up. Currently, our leadership is starting to plan our winter homecoming. We're finalizing our themes and our spirit days, and I'm so excited to get back on those once we finalize them to you. Also, January is our School Board Appreciation Month. Our River Valley and admin would like to thank all of the board members who invest their time in our schools to make sure our students receive a good quality education and our staff and students are supported. So from River Valley and ASB, we just brought you guys a small gift. I'll just go ahead. Might take me a bit. I just want to say thank you. Oh, I actually broke that one.
It's okay, I'll take the broken one. Thank you.
Thank you. So we just wanted to thank you all for all the work you put in. We really appreciate all the support. And that's it.
Thank you.
Good evening, board and audience members. Happy New Year and welcome back from break. Honkers are ready to be back and happy and ready to get back into the groove of school. During our break, winter sports worked hard and played many games, participated in many tournaments. Our girls wrestling is going strong. At the Napa Valley tournament, junior Jalen White placed 8th in a 64-girl bracket. At Battle of the Buttes, all 4 of our girls, Shanika Smith, Caitlin Divas, Jalen White, and Sydney Elias, all placed in top 10 in their brackets, as well as our boys, who have been doing an excellent job this season. Alongside wrestling, our amazing soccer teams have been bringing home a lot of wins. Same goes for our basketball players. On the court, we see excellence and a lot of fun energy. This Friday, we're hosting an arm wrestling competition to get our peers back into the honker spirit with some friendly fun. Coming back from break, honkers are dedicated and ready to take on the new year with a positive attitude. Thank you all.
Thank you. Moving forward from student reports to staff recognition.
Good evening and Happy New Year from me as well. For the trustees, district leadership, staff, and audience members, it's nice to be here tonight. We're excited to recognize some exceptional district staff who help shape our culture of excellence. We know that recognition increases productivity, promotes retention of our employees, and keeps everyone improving, all of which impacts our students, who are our most important customers, and helps the City Unified achieve its mission statement of preparing the foundation for each student to build tomorrow's world. With that, I'll pass our podium to one site and one department tonight to present the certificates of excellence. And we'll start with Director Liz Davitt.
Good evening. I'm here to recognize Tammy Eck, who has worked with me in special education since 2018. Tammy takes care of all of our special education data and makes sure that everything coordinates between our SACE and our CalPAD system. We've gone through a lot of changes over the past 3 years. And Tammy has ensured that everything has gone seamlessly and flawlessly. I couldn't do my job without her. So.
Next will be Principal Raj James from Tier 1 School.
Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. Tonight I have the honor of recognizing Rachel Chavez. Rachel is the after-school coordinator at Carolina School. And for anyone who may not know what an after-school coordinator does, they coordinate, oversee, implement the after-school program that happens after the bell. Rachel is that person for Carolina School. She has been in our district for about 23 years, and the thing that makes her really exceptional is I've watched her interaction with our staff, our students, and our parents, and she truly is dedicated to making sure that our students and our families are taken care of. One of the characteristics of a great after-school program is that it is seamless. What happens during the school day happens in the after-school program. You don't want to miss a beat. And Rachel really takes that initiative to make sure that whatever's happening during the school day is also part of the after-school program. Whether it's our PBIS expectations, holding kids to the same standard, instructional strategies, or even just our safety protocols. She makes sure she learns what's happening and holds the staff in the after-school program to the same expectations and the students with the same expectations. So it really creates just a positive culture on our campus. And I attribute that to, she also knows our school goals really well, connecting with families, making sure that our students have a safe place after school, and just celebrating the academic success that comes along the way. Rachel takes that initiative to say, okay, what are we working on? She's in constant communication with me. So, but you don't have to take my word for it. I did ask the staff, I said, tell me what makes Rachel exceptional. And some of the after school staff, sorry, I didn't bring my glasses, so bear with me as I try to read this. The things they said are, Rachel is kind and understanding. She's a person who treats her colleagues like family, and it shows. She's always been there for each and every one of us when we've needed her. She's funny, caring, and a very hard worker. Other staff have said she's dedicated years as an after-school leader and a coordinator. Her commitment has been outstanding. They appreciate her work ethic, her professionalism, her passion for children and their families, and above all, meeting the needs of the team. I didn't stop there. I asked the kids, I said, what can you tell me about Miss Rachel? And this is what they've said. Miss Rachel is sweet. She gives us hugs, always makes the best days, and she has fun people come to the Eagle Center, and that makes me happy. That's from a first grader. A third grade student shared, Miss Rachel is really nice and she handles problems really well. I would agree. A sixth grade student shared that Miss Rachel is good-hearted and puts a lot of time in her work and the children in the after-school program. So this recognition tonight is a testament to her dedication, her hard work, and her commitment to excellence. But I don't want to stop there because in 3 weeks, Rachel is returning. So she is starting a new chapter in her life and moving across the country. So we will miss her. And our staff was really, they wanted to make sure that we honored Rachel. And she had this moment. She has been exceptional and we're going to miss her. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rachel. Daniel loved his job there. Loved him.
Thank you. Moving forward to reports and information. First, we have the Yuba City Charter School.
Yes, we have Superintendent Herb Cooley from Yuba City Charter School who will give us an update on what's going on with the Charter School. So welcome.
Well, it's a pleasure being here. It's always fun to be on this side of the board. It used to be up there, so nice change of pace. So I'm here to present some data on where we're at now and where we were at in the 22-23 school year. And so I think everybody has that in front of them. Sorry, everybody has my back too. So our enrollment in 23-24 this school year, we are at 256 students. We are a TK through 12th grade school. And so in TK through 6th grade, we have 150 students, 38 in our middle school, 45 in our high school, and 23 in our independent study. We are in declining enrollment. I think the effects of the economy are beginning to hit us. We have a number of students that have moved out of state. We've had recently a couple students that just can't afford the fuel because we have several students from outside of our area, many in Marysville and further, that just can't afford the fuel to get there. So unfortunately, we're seeing the effects of where we're at on the economy, and hopefully that will be able to turn around soon. At our school, we've got new curriculum in our elementary science. We're using STEM scopes, and in our social studies, we're using the IMPACT program. We have 23 UC approved A through G classes. We have a chartered FFA program, which all of our high schools are enrolled through because all of our science classes are ag science classes, and so they are enrolled in that program. We have Spanish language teachers, and so all of our K-6 students are enrolled in Spanish classes, and our high school, it's an elective class if they'd like to take that. We also have Rosetta Stone available to all of our students, so if they want to take another language other than Spanish, they're welcome to go through the Rosetta Stone program and learn whatever language they like. We have 4 A through G lab science classes. We have ELD, SEDAI, and Spanish language for our EL students. I think one of the benefits of having Spanish for all of our elementary students is that our Spanish-speaking students are able to go into that class. They get an opportunity to shine because it's a language they're familiar with. It builds their confidence. And they're also learning, their home language, because we just assume many times that they're proficient in Spanish, and that's not always the case. So I think that's a great asset that we have at our school, and having them have that ability to take Spanish. We just completed our WASP visit in October, and so we'll find out, I believe, in February what our accreditation status is. And we are very confident that we'll have a 6-year accreditation status through that. We're also very happy to have a full-time PE teacher and music teacher. So all of our students every day, as part of their curriculum, have music classes in the elementary, and then in high school they're able to enroll in our performance band. We also have a full-time counselor, which acts as our academic counselor and also our social emotional counselor. For career pathways in our high school, we offer numerous career pathways for a school of our size. Again, we have a very small population of high school students. But we have completers in agri-science, ag mechanics, animal science, and plant science. We also have our performance band, which is part of our career tech program. The theater and stage drama. I think that's one of those programs that we're extremely fortunate to have because they get to see the full gamut of what happens in a theater. So not only are they able to participate in building the stage and all of the designs, part of the stage design for whatever sets they're doing. We have a full sound tech booth so that they are working designing the sound system that goes with the plays that they're doing, and the lighting system as well. They're using the computer operation and being able to design whatever light sets that they need. So it's impressive. If you haven't been able to come by and see, I'd love for you to come visit and see our theater. We also added culinary arts last year and invested a large amount of our career tech education incentive grant dollars into building a state-of-the-art facility with commercial grade equipment. And so that's something that we're very proud of as well. It's in a facility that is temporary until we can get a cathegematorium built, what I like to call it, multipurpose room. But again, our facilities, we have the Black Box Theater that we built just as COVID hit, and we were able to open that for our COVID graduations. We have our ag mechanics welding shop that opened this year for the first time for our students, and so we're very proud that we were able to invest some funds and get that open and operational for them. Again, the culinary arts lab, and we've had our agri-science lab for a number of years. Back when the career tech money started coming in, that was one of our first projects. If you look at our ethnicity breakdown from 22-23, because that is always a year behind, 69% of our students are Hispanic, 5% are multi-ethnic, we have 19% white, and 6% Asian. On to our CAS scores, and you can see that we've got a variety of years from 2014-15 all the way through the 22-23 school year. You'll notice in 19-20, that was the COVID year. We didn't do testing during that year, and so that's kind of the mid-break of our pre-COVID existence and post-COVID existence. As you can see, our scores aren't as great school-wide as I would like them to be for mathematics. In math is something that I think every district struggles with, and we do as well. You'll see further when I break it down that we have had some successes with some of our subgroups. With our English language learning population, kind of an interesting trend. We had a few more students meet or exceed the standards in the 22-23 school year, but those that were nearly met, quite a number of those students slid back into the not meeting category. And so that's something that we're working on diligently, trying to get them back into that met or exceeded category. If you look at our reclassified English language learners, again, kind of with the school-wide trend, just a little slide back from where we were, but definitely better than where we were right after COVID. Our social economically disadvantaged students, it's over 80% of our population, so it goes right in line with what our school-wide data shows. And again, a little slide back that we need to work on. When you look at our special education students, for mathematics, you can see that we've had 16% of our students meet or exceed the standards, which is much better than we had seen in the previous year. We've had a little shift in how we're handling special education, more of the push-in, working in the classroom with the students, and really identifying what works best for the students, whether they need the pull out or if it's better that they have support with them during their classroom time. And so I think we're seeing some pretty good successes in our special education program, really targeting what exactly the needs of our students are. For English language arts, school-wide, you can see that we slipped a little. I think you'll notice that when I break that down between the elementary and high school, you'll kind of understand what happened with that. When you look at our English language learners, again, they trend just like our school had, definitely not going in the right direction. And we'll be focusing on those students to make sure that we get them back into the met or nearly met. Met or exceeded. Our reclassifieds, which is really good news, are doing well. And you can see that line is trending in the direction that we would like it to trend. 49% of our reclassified students are meeting or exceeding the standards. And that's just slightly better than we had the year before. So that's something that we're doing well with, and we'll continue to work on them, because obviously when 50% of your students are meeting exceeding standards, you can't be thrilled with that. Social economically disadvantaged, no surprise, it goes right along with our school-wide trend. But again, in special education, again, I think that the way that our staff is working with our special education students and really pinpointing if they're doing better with push-in or pull-out services is making a difference. And so we hope that trend will continue in the direction that it's going. If you look at our district-wide comparisons to Yuba City Unified, Marysville Unified, and the state, you can see that in math, we're pretty much neck and neck with Marysville Unified, trailing Yuba City Unified, and trailing way behind what the state is doing for mathematics. But
What are these numbers? I'm sorry, I don't see the title on the side.
So these are the met or exceeded standards.
Okay.
So for Yuba City Charter, 19% of our students met or exceeded the standards. And so all the bar graphs represent met or exceeded. So if you look at our English language learners, we're slightly above the state for our English language learners in math. And so, again, that's a trend that we're happy with. That it's going in the right direction. Again, we've got a long way to go to get the students where they need to go. If you look at district-wide English language arts, and again, these are the percent of students in each district that have met or exceeded the standards. We're right in line again with Marysville Unified, trailing Yuba City Unified, and then again, pretty much right in line with our English language learners. All right. When you break down our school into the K-6 elementary, you can see that we're really doing much better in our elementary than we are in our high school. You can see that we're pretty much in line with the other schools, our surrounding schools of Bridge Street, Park Avenue, Lindcrest, and Andrews Carperos. If you look at our EL students, you just see skyrocketing compared to other districts. Again, you got to remember we have a very small number of students in comparison to other districts and other schools. And so really what that's representing is most of our students are in one particular grade level, and that particular teacher is just doing an incredible job of working with our students and getting them prepped in mathematics. And so we're really looking at what she's doing and trying to replicate that with our other teachers. Elementary with English Language Arts, again, these are the students that have met or exceeded the standards. Again, you can see we're kind of right in the middle of our surrounding schools that we're comparing to. In English language learners, we're doing slightly better than the schools that they would be at, Bridge Park, Lincoln, and UK. And then you look at our high school mathematics. And again, I think one of our problems that we have is not all of our students in 11th grade are taking mathematics, which makes it a little difficult when you're testing them and measuring our high school based off of that. They haven't had math for 3/4 of a year for some of those students. And so again, we're pretty much level with Marysville High School, and then trailing behind many of the other schools. Our English language learning students are doing the same as Sutter High School is doing. So we're doing about the same comparison-wise to them. Okay. Good. English language arts doing better than mathematics. You can see that we're kind of in the mid-range of our surrounding high schools. You can see that for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, Yuba City High School, River Valley High School, and Yuba City Charter are all performing better than the state are. And so, again, that's something that we should be looking at and celebrating. Yet again, with 53% of the students, it's something that we really still have a lot of work to do. And so our response to what our scores are, we're very fortunate to have a Dean of Academics. He has his doctorate degree and has been a fantastic teacher at our school. He's been there longer than I have. He's been there, I believe, 15 years. So it was kind of sad to pull him out of the classroom because he was just an incredible teacher. But the goal is to replicate what he was able to do in his classroom. And so his full-time job is to work directly with our teachers. He goes in, he helps them with targeted intervention. He helps them go through, look at lesson planning, look at test scores, see where they need to really be focusing at. I think one of the really nice things is that he will go in and teach lessons. And so he will co-teach with them sometimes. He'll go in there, and if there's a particular thing that they're struggling with, he can demonstrate how he would put that into action by teaching a lesson in front of the students or with their own students. And so I think, we're really lucky to be able to have an individual of that caliber working with our staff. We're working on our SMART goals. It's kind of a work in progress, so we're beginning with the students that are in our intervention programs. All of those students have SMART goals. We would like to have it so that every student in our school has a SMART goal so we know exactly where they need to be headed and that parents are involved in it, students involved with it, and know exactly what they need to work on and where we want to get them and when we want to get them to that point. We will continue to have summer school. That's something, that was new to us after COVID and has been very effective to have students not only work on remediation, but if they want to work on advancing themselves as well, especially in the elementary level, are able to move students from grade level to grade level to either advance them if they need a little more advanced skills to work on, or if they need to revert a little bit, we're able to do that as well. So summer school has been something that's been working for us. We also have a couple of staff members that are dedicated to opportunity classes and credit recovery. So if they get a C or lower in one of our A through G classes, they're able to go through, we put them in an opportunity class. They get really small groups that they can work with, and so individualized instruction helping them. And that has really, we've seen a lot of students be able to improve their grades, and a lot of students that had been struggling before that are able to take that class, and they just need that extra little boost to keep them going through and getting grades that are, you know, A's and B's in classes where they haven't been getting that before. So I think that's been one of our really successful programs that we're able to do. Before school intervention, because now that we do the 8:30 start, we do before school intervention. So students that have not been performing well on our NWEA, which is Northwestern Education Association, it's a predictor of how they're going to do on the CASP. And so that gives us data that focus on what student needs are, what they need to be focusing on, what standards they need to be focusing on. And then we set them into a morning intervention class for 45 minutes before school starts, and it's a smaller group, more targeted to specific standards that they need to be working on. And so that's the state of Yuba City Charter School.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
How many students of your 256 are English language learners?
We have 89 students, and the majority of them are in elementary.
Any other questions? Thank you for your time today.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
Moving forward to Williams Valenzuela complaints.
Okay, this is our second quarterly report for our Williams complaints. This time there's no complaints that have been filed for the school district. That's it.
And then also, I believe, our student achievement data presentation. Exciting stuff.
Evening, school board. I don't know if anybody got to see the game last night. Michigan won. But I wanted to start off with, because first of all, it was a phenomenal game. And just the image of this, looking at our school-wide data and our dashboard, our upcoming LCAP, we're at a new 3-year LCAP, and it's really a time where there's opportunity right now. Where we get to open up new doors, look at new programs, and see how we help our kids more. So I kind of wanted to capture that with this image from last night's game, just because when we look at school-wide data, whether it's survey data or academic achievement data, sometimes it just gets long and tedious. And sometimes we get kind of caught in the doldrums of it by looking at what we're not doing right. Sometimes it's important we look at what's going well in our districts and celebrate what our teachers are doing, how our kids are achieving. And speaking of that, I just want to, once again, she's still here, she left, but they mentioned Tammy as one of our employees to get recognized, and she talked about CalPads. And just, you don't know what CalPads is, it's a system that reports all of our data from Aries, and it's a monumental task to do that work. And so Tammy is well deserving of that recognition. I just want to recognize her as well. And Rachel, after school coordinator, we'll talk about that a little later, but just the work they do in after school is pretty phenomenal for our kids. We have right now about 1,300 kids in after school programs, and she's part of that effort, so that's pretty awesome. So the dashboard came out December 15th. Our California dashboard gets our data directly from CalPads. Our CalPads data gets it directly from Aries, which is our student information system. So there's a lot of integration of technology to get our school-wide data. So that's why it's important on what Tammy does and the other staff does for that. They're actually working on getting the dashboard to be updated more timely. So it came out December 15th, which is late. because everyone's waiting. Our principals wait. Like they email me asking me for the data and like literally in July. I'm like, guys, I have nothing. And like it happens weekly. So they're moving it up, the timeline, to December 1st. I think the next year after will be, I think 24-25 will be November 15th. So they're just trying to get us more timely data with the school dashboard. But it's a lot of integration of information from our school to the state that's disaggregated to us right now. Just I'll let you guys know that. And it's directly tied, like I mentioned right now, to our LCAP. We have a brand new 3-year LCAP. So in June, late May, beginning of June, I'll be coming back. After, well, I don't have much here right now, but I'll probably have way less here in June from doing all the LCAP work. But part of that iteration is, engaging our educational partners. So we meet with our parents, students, classified certificated staff, and we really get input because, like I said, this is brand new. And so it's awesome. I think it's a great juncture to have this, especially with new board goals. So I think it's a really good congruence we have in our district right now moving forward. Part of the LCAP, we know, is a lot of information. So we have a lot of qualitative data. We have surveys, climate surveys, California Healthy Kids, past data, a lot of perception data to see how our kids feel being at school, how their staff feel. We obviously have our quantitative data with our achievement data, our suspension data, our absenteeism, all the hard numbers we have. And we have our demographic data about our enrollments. What does that look like? What's our projected enrollments? Do we have declining enrollment? Like that's demographic data. So we have a lot of information coming. And additionally, we actually have our local data. It's really important. So we have our tests we have to do. Like all of them. Sorry, kiddos, but you guys have to do that. Actually, you guys got it. You guys are seniors. Oh, you're Joe. Sorry. Well, not sorry. It's really fun. But yeah, we have our mandated tests that our students have to take, but we also have our local assessments. So we have our teacher-driven assessments. We have iReady data, which is local assessment data. We have a writing performance task we're working on with our teachers, which is awesome. So we have local data we're using as well as state data to inform our LCAP. The LCAP, as we know, has 8 priorities. The dashboard data falls under 4, 5, and 6, student achievement, student engagement, and school climate. I'll talk about each one of those as we move forward. Hashtag goals, I really like this graphic. Just want to kind of bring it back to our board goals. As we move forward in the spring, these are going to really drive our LCAP. So we're going to be looking at all of our information we have with our different groups and then having congruence with our board goals as we develop our LCAP, which I think is going to be pretty, I think it's going to be fun. Some people think I'm crazy, but I think it's a great opportunity to include all of our educational partners in this work. Absenteeism, the first one. Okay, so speaking of student engagement, student engagement, one of our indicators on the dashboard is chronic absenteeism. 10% or more of the instructional days a student can be absent is counted as a chronically absent student. And it's actually an all-day absence, so if a student misses a period or misses half a day, they're not counted chronically absent. It has to be an all-day absence. What can be included in that is our suspension data. So if we have students who are suspended, they're missing class, that actually counts double against us. So that counts against us for our suspension rate, and it counts against us for our absenteeism. Obviously, even if they're excused absences or unexcused absences, so like my daughter, for example, will wake up and say, my tummy hurts, I'm like, get this goal. Because that still counts as an absence, whether it's excused or not. So our chronically absent students, we actually are pretty much on par with the state. We're at 23.4% in our district. We did increase 2.7%. Breaking it down by our schools, you can see we have, Gray Avenue and Riverbend did decrease. So that's awesome. But we still have some challenges, as you notice, with our kids not being in class. And, when we break it down to our student cohort groups, obviously our homeless students have challenges. In the red, they break it down in the dashboard into different colors. And those are our student groups who are being challenged the most coming to school. We do have, like I said, programs now that we're trying to address with it. We have social workers who meet with the families. We have home visits. We have probation officers. We moved from the county to a district-based attendance review board. So we actually meet at the district for families who are chronically absent. So we do have efforts moving forward trying to address that, but there are a lot of variables with student absences on the why behind it. So that's something moving forward with our LCAP is going to be a huge push. We are looking at community schools, something that's been discussed before. There is a phase 4 grant we're looking at, and part of that is what do we want to address with this community schools grant. And I think we can all attest that our kids need to be on campus to learn, to not miss instruction, and not to mention we also have there's also financial implications for our kids not being in class. So that's it's definitely a challenge right now. We definitely see happening, but there are some schools that are doing a little better with it. We can't blame COVID for everything, but it definitely had an effect on the importance of making it to school even when you're sick. So we're still trying to fight that viewpoint of if you have a sniffle, you can come to school. So
I just wondered because I want to commend Riverbend and Gray for having a decrease. But is there anything that they are doing, similarly? I mean, why did those decrease? Because both Berry and King Avenue and Lindcrest had substantial increases comparatively speaking. I'm just wondering what's going on in the schools that have less chronic absenteeism.
And I can get back to you specifically with those two schools. I mean, I know Gray, for example, they've also seen a decrease in their suspension rates. So there's definitely some work going on. I think with the staff on developing like a positive culture on the campus, I think probably has helped. With Riverbend, I couldn't tell you exactly what the difference has been. It is a nominal change. Both of those are pretty nominal. They're pretty much maintained. That's something I can get back to you on to see what they've been doing. I know we did have a shift in leadership at Riverbend, so.
Well, staying flat is much better than going up.
Going up, yeah.
9.7%.
And we do have a new program we're going to be developing, not developing, that we're using called EduClimber. And part of the challenge has really been pulling our data from ARIES, our student information system, and giving it to our principals and our teachers in something that's coherent and easy to read. And so we're going to be using EduClimber to actually download our attendance data, our discipline data, our achievement data, and more easily readable formats that aren't really convoluted. Because right now, it's kind of tough, some of the systems we have to use the data accurately. So EduClimber is something brand new we're going to be using as another source of, I would say, drilling down into grade levels to see the student by student why they're missing the school. And it's a concerted effort. It's a wraparound effort with social workers, counselors, staff, teachers, parents, to figure out the why behind why these kids are not coming to school.
Okay, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no.
I have a question on the data, and because I know this is going to be pervasive with all the categories, I'd like to ask it right up the front with regards to the way they're categorized with your student groups, right? I guess my question is there, with the cross-section of data, with for example, if I am Asian and I'm an English learner and I'm if I fall under those 3 categories, right? But I'm still just one person, how do you choose which one you're gonna put me in the box for? Am I gonna be socially, economically disadvantaged? Am I gonna be Asian? Is it gonna be about my melanin? How am I supposed to read this?
So if you're, we have almost 2,000 EL students, you still count as EL. If let's say you're Hispanic and you're an EL, you still count in those 2 categories.
So
let's say you're Hispanic
cross-contamination in this.
No, this is all. So if you're let's say in suspension rates, let's say the student group, say you're red and let's say it's Hispanic, you're still going to count as Hispanic and in your suspension rate. It doesn't you count for each category. It doesn't does that make sense? So if you're English learner and you're a student with disability,
it doesn't matter. I'm just red.
Yeah.
I'm red, I'm all those things, but I would fall under the red category, right? Because that's my behavior.
Yeah.
But your student groups there is just categorizing the ones who are red
Yeah, so, yes.
and what population they are. And then as far as that categorization goes, as far as the drilling down to your root cause analysis, right?
Yeah.
So with regards, and I'm just gonna get the question out for all of it because I read your report earlier. And so like for example, for absenteeism, chronic absenteeism, right? So this slide tells me how many and what school, right? But as far as the root cause analysis as to chronic absenteeism by sick, because it doesn't matter, excused, unexcused. Like how much is excused, how much is unexcused, how many chronic absenteeism are with students who have also chronic disciplinary or behavioral or that sort of thing, or how many what is the chronic absenteeism rate in a mile radius, indicating maybe it's a transportation. I didn't see any of that, but that's still Aries, right? Isn't all that information on?
Yeah, so this is the dashboard. So the dashboard doesn't drill it down to that specificity.
They focus on melanin and social economic and then English learner.
So dashboard focuses on what they pull out of CalPads, and CalPads pulls out of Aries. If you wanted to know specifics to like the site level, that would be pulled from Aries. That won't be pulled from the dashboard.
Well, I think, Kirsten, the other thing is that is why our staff is charged with making contact with the family to ask about it. So sometimes it is a transportation issue. I think the state is recognized across the state. Many families are challenged with, we were so restricted in terms of coming to school if you have a syphil or this or that.
Right.
And so they've actually made some changes in and sent out a document about health and a student with pink eye, and so when do they get to come back to school, because there used to be these more restricted guidelines, and they've actually loosened them up for us to say,
which we've discussed,
right? And so I think that's one of those things is retraining, and I did talk to a couple of the other superintendents in the county and Yuba County regarding what's the marketing to help people know to come to school. But I do think part of it is that question of asking families, why are you not coming to school?
Right.
And again, you'll hear a variety of reasons, but
which I think of that information, that data, especially on, like you said, the site level, infinitely superior. This really tells me next to nothing as far as a root cause analysis.
Correct. It tells you just the data of what our district data and site data says regarding absences.
Right. And what box they check on the ethnicity or.
The sites are responsible for, so the sites do their single school plans, which we approve in our school board. And at the site levels, when there are site councils, that's where they drill down specifically to their sites. So like with EduClimber, the program we're going to use, we're using that program now because it drills down more specifically to the site level, and it gives us easier to read, I guess you would say, information for parents, because parents are on site council.
Yeah.
And we want to give them something that they can all tangibly understand, because EduSpeak is tough for a lot of people. So that's why we're using EduClimber. So it takes this information and drills it down to something more relevant to the parents and to the sites.
Yeah.
So what about which would be really cool is if you could do it on students who are involved in something at school, leadership, sports. How is their absenteeism? The more involved you are, the less absence you are.
Right.
That'd be neat to see that.
Right.
To see how absenteeism goes.
Which
and that would be something that goes to that would go to, we have the Healthy Kids Survey, which is this one survey. We also have our past survey data, which is another school climate survey. We give kids about connectedness to school. Mm-hmm. And like you're saying, we've noticed, and this isn't just everyone knows this, kids who are not connected to a club, an activity, a sport, performing art, anything, if they're not connected at all, they're more likely to be one of these students who are not coming to school, who are disengaged. So that's absolutely correct. The next piece is district graduation rate, which can be sometimes deceiving when you look at it. We do have an almost 81% graduation rate. It has dipped. Before COVID, it was about 91%, 90%. But if you look at our two high schools, they're at about, they've maintained these past 2 years at about 86%. Albert Powell has dropped, but there is a reason for that. So we want to give kids multiple opportunities in our district. So kids who are struggling, who are seniors, we want to give them something tangible to leave high school with. So we provide the high school exit exam. Gosh, I'm not back here. So that doesn't count towards your graduation rate though. So like last year we had 28 kids who took the high set. We had I think 23 passed the high set. So they get an actual equivalency to credential. But in terms of like the data, that actually counts against our power. So although it says 70%, they basically took the hit on like 23 of our students. So it's actually kind of misleading. But those kids who left high school with something in their hand, now they can do something.
Right.
Which I think is awesome. So that's why I just wanted to let you guys know that's kind of the reason behind that. Albert Powell and YCAA, those kids are going back and forth. And so it's hard to kind of gauge that information when they might start off at River Valley High School, they might go to YCAA, back to River Valley, then they might end up at Albert Powell. So it's a little different tracking that information versus just the two high schools, River Valley and USD High School. And that does count actually 4th and 5th year students. So in your graduation rate, it counts the 5th year students as well. So students who are English learners, students who are on special education services, they get 5th year options as students. So that counts our 5th year cohort as well in that graduation rate for 2023.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if a student is transfers, like leaves the state, we still track them to see if they graduate.
Yeah.
And that counts as our graduation rate, even though they may graduate.
We have to make sure we track them though, that's key.
Oh.
Yeah. So we have a system that we obviously use in education where we track the kids who leave.
Right.
But if they come to us, so they do count in our cohort, in our graduation rate.
Okay.
Even if they come in April.
Okay.
And this is once again one of the student groups. We, like Herb said earlier with his school, our students with disabilities are pretty much across the board. And most of our metrics are really challenged to graduation. That's for a variety of reasons. Our homeless population, our students are in the red category. Hispanic to more racist, SED are orange. Yuba City High School, they're at 86%, which is just showing each high school specifically, they're at yellow. They pretty much maintained the year before. And the same as River Valley High School, they're about 86% as well. So once again, even pre-COVID, they're only about 4% behind, 4 or 5% behind pre-COVID. So River Valley and Yuba City are making gains back upwards. So they should be proud of that and doing some good work there. Albert Powell and YCAA, once again, they do some great work there. It's just the kids go back and forth. So it's really hard to track cohorts with those schools. Anybody remember this movie?
You're
I'm trying to find an image of Wayne's suspension. This could have gone for cognitive absence too, so I'll go back to it.
That's hard decisions you have to make in your position.
Right, really, it was really hard. So suspension rate, one day, if it's just one day, that counts. So a student can be suspended 4 times during the school year, but it counts once. And like I said, this counts also against us for our chronically absent students because they're out of school. But honestly, as a district, this last year we made some pretty good gains. It said we declined 1.5%, but per site level, pretty much every school site declined their suspension rate. And I think Gray, like I think in 1920 was at like 28%. They're at 10%, which I think is phenomenal.
Okay,
So kids,
I'm sorry.
oh, go ahead.
No, the suspension. Okay, so do all the schools have in-house suspension, or just the 2 high schools?
Some of our middle schools do as
And
well.
so if it's in-house suspension, then you're not taking a hit on that,
We
correct?
call those reset rooms. No, they're in class and they're with instructional minutes.
So that's not going against you.
Were you trying to unplug them and plug them in?
I really do like if suspension rate is declining, but I hope that is not because we're allowing poor behavior
Right.
with no consequence.
Right.
Because I'm hearing from teachers that they're a little frustrated kids are getting away with murder and there's zero consequence. So, I mean, I don't want to see kids suspended either, but it needs to be, they're not suspended because they're behaving, and they're not suspended because we don't suspend kids so we don't get in trouble.
Or I would say, when I walk past Justin's office on the daily basis, that kids are getting in trouble. No, they really are. But I think what's happened is our principals and our teachers have found, I don't know, just more strategic ways to navigate behavior. So, for example, at AK, I mean, they decreased almost 6.5%. And there's definitely new legislation out where you can't suspend kids. So K-12 now, you can't suspend for defiance or disruption. Whereas before you could.
And that's one of the big frustrations with teachers, because how do you teach if a child is actively being defiant in your classroom?
You send them to the reset room.
Yeah, and I think that has to do, but that's a case by case basis. I think it has to do with the school. I think the administration, the policies you have at the school, and honestly, the interventions we're doing for the kids who are actually having that behavior. We have a lot of supports in our district. We have a lot of funding right now that goes towards social emotional support for our kids. So I think it's how are we using those resources to identify those kids who need that help, and at the same time having those, providing interventions for kids who are having behavior challenges. But I definitely understand. I was a teacher, and I understand the kids in the class sometimes who might be disruptive with the other kids, and that it does cause a challenge when you're trying to teach. I'm trying to teach English, to kids.
You're not going to see test scores go up if that's going on in the classroom.
I just think it's a concerted effort on culture, building relationships with your kids, supporting our teaching staff, and educating our kids on best on behavior. But there are changes legislatively that have changed what we can do in terms of assertive discipline. But I do want to give kudos to the schools for doing this, though, because I think it's not just an administrative effort, it's really a school effort about building relationships with these kids. Yay. I'm not going to go into too much detail on these next few slides. I just went over this, I think, last month. But this is the academic achievement piece, and it's awesome. You guys set a goal for literacy and math as one of our board goals, which I think is going to drive this part of the LCAP strongly. Because we know with ELA, there's challenges with ELA. These are our groups we maintain with our English learners. We did increase with our students who are foster youth, a small number of students, but I think that's really positive direction. And with our students with disabilities.
Totally gonna interrupt you.
Yes. This is ELA, this is English Language Arts.
I will be prepared to go in the reset room for such a disturbance. This is CASP.
This is CASP.
Okay, thank you.
So this is CASP ELA. And I went over this, I think, last month, not the month before, and this is given to 3rd, 8th, and 11th graders in our district. And with ELA, we've seen strong increases in our literacy with our kids. I think that's because our teachers are doing some great job working together in collaborative teams. They're using formative assessments. They're talking about best practices, and I think it's showing in the data here. Our student groups are still struggling, are the same ones struggling across every sector. Our students with disabilities, our English learners, are still the student groups who are our most challenged. Math continues to be a struggle. Obviously, it is nationally and statewide, but in our district, we do see some challenges continuing in math. We saw a very nominal increase at 3.6 points in the previous year. But
Oh, sorry. I'm going to ask another question. Just a reminder for myself. When you're exploring groups by performance level on English learner or foster youth students with disabilities, I can only fall in one of those categories, or I can fall into multiple categories.
Okay, you can be an ELC, you can be a foster student, and
That
ELC
has a disability. And is also learning English, right?
So we
then
have
I
a
would
lot
be
of students.
So I would be in all three of those categories.
Yes.
And so, which are all orange, but okay.
And we have a lot of students, for example, who are on special education, receiving special education services, who are also EL students, who are also homeless. And so when we look at, our data, it it's hard to see those stories behind this.
Right.
And so that's why it's awesome that we go to our site level, we have our
Yes.
site plans, and they develop them at the sites.
Yes.
So this is more of like a bird's eye view into our district.
Yeah, sort of.
English learner progress, we've definitely seen some increases in that, 51% making progress. And I do want to give a shout out to April Lane and Yuba City High School this past year with their progress. They're in the blue, which I think is pretty phenomenal. We're making some growth with our English language reclassification process. And I think part of that is because we have a lot of newcomers in our schools. And so I've talked to a lot of teachers and some of our teacher groups. There's a definite struggle right now, not just in our district, but with a lot of newcomers coming to our district. But how do we help, how do we help the student in my social studies class when they don't know any English? It is definitely a challenge. So part of our process now is looking at professional development to help our teachers with that, because that is a pretty monumental challenge when you're trying to teach somebody in your class who doesn't speak English. Not just for the teacher, but for the kid who's in your class, who's new to the country and is now in biology trying to talk about photosynthesis. So there are very concerted efforts right now at the district level and the site levels with ELD professional development, with designated ELD and integrated ELD. Integrated ELDs in every class, designated pull-out, specific pull-out for our students. But once again, I just want to know, we're doing some great things, because sometimes data can lead us down a rabbit hole of we're not doing well. I think in our district, we definitely have challenges, but we're doing some great things as well. Our teachers are doing some great things. This is the next indicator, college and career. This is more geared towards high school. Not more geared, it is geared towards high school. These are the measures that are on this indicator. AP, A to G completion, CT pathways. You can kind of read down the list.
Do you see a decline in students taking AP exams with the dual
We have a
enrollment?
low, last year we had 403 kids total in our district take AP tests. Our senior cohort, I think we had 23% pass rate for 3s or above. For your advanced placement exams, it counts at 3 or above. So the advanced placements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 and 5, 3 plus 3, 4, and 5 are passing. That doesn't mean you're actually going to get credit for it. I mean, you have to look at the college you're going to see if they'll accept the 3. But that's just one of the indicators. But we do have a lower percentage of kids taking that. Last year, the highest class, there was 23 kids who took the AP test. That was the highest class of testing.
Only 23?
Yeah. And that's
Some colleges don't even care if you take it all.
and part of it though is we actually can fund the kids taking it. So my question has been if we're paying for it, why aren't all the kids taking it?
Right.
Even if you don't pass it, the research says even if you get a 2, it helps you because it's a challenging, rigorous test.
But we don't pay for the AP exam.
No, we do.
Since when? We do.
We have the funding to pay for it. Yes, we do. Yeah, I don't know if our kids are. We definitely need to see an increase in our number of kids taking the test, not just passing the test, but actually taking the test.
That's new since I retired because the district did not pay for AP exams when I was teaching.
We pay for the AP fee waivers and the exams.
I got punished for taking the AP exam. It meant I wasn't allowed to take lower level history classes at Georgetown towards my graduation requirement. And as a psychology major, I had no interest in taking upper level history seminars, but I was forced to because I passed the AP history exam, which if I would have known, I would have paid to send in my scores. But anyhow, sorry, that's a tangent.
And we can teach an AP.
So that's the one negative. You said, why wouldn't you? That's why.
There's different reasons, but we have a lot of kids
Yeah.
who take UBA college courses. Our UBA college enrollment is significantly high. I'm not talking about just during the school year, when they take it during the summer
Colleges
too.
don't care.
So, and then if they take that, conceivably, they get the credit anyway. And so, okay.
So there are advantages and disadvantages to both of those things. But I would say in California and actually nationally, you'll see a trend taking more college courses versus AP.
Yeah.
AP is still strong,
Right.
but I'm saying you do see a trend nationally and taking more dual enrollment courses, just because you get guaranteed credit to transfer.
Which is also counted in this measure.
It's counted in the measure, yeah.
Okay.
So, we do need to see an increase in, I think, in kids taking AP tests and in enrolling in AP courses. Because I think it's just another avenue for kids to have, another opportunity for kids to have. And it's a good gateway into a college course. A lot of kids take AP Psych for their first course, or they take AP Human Geo or AP European History. Those are like into gateways for AP kids. Especially students who are maybe not thinking they want to go AP, they might be avid students. That's a good gateway class for those kids. A to G rates, this is A to G. These are on the right hand side, how many kids take the sequence of courses, those number of courses to meet the YCUSD requirements. We did see a jump this past year, which I think is pretty great. YCUSD High School had 10% increase in A to G. There's a lot of different factors for the reason behind that. One of them is having more courses that are A to G. So when we come to you guys for course approvals, as we go through that, we want to also make sure those courses are A to G. A second piece of that is doing a course audit and looking at which courses we have now that aren't A to G, and then working with those teachers and those schools to see if we can get those courses A to G. But like the previous one said, it's not just about college, it's also about career, right? So there's two things. It's college or career and career. So we want kids to be A to G, but we also want them to have other opportunities. So this is just another option for them. There are barriers to this. Part of it is looking at what kids are taking, where they're stopping. Herb mentioned his CAS scores. He mentioned kids not having enough math to pass the CAS junior year. We have a number of students who don't take math junior year. We have a number of students who don't pass IM2, who aren't even past IM2 junior year. They're taking a test that counts IM2 and 20% IM3. So, I think looking at math, this isn't something done in a vacuum. We have a math committee. We actually have a meeting tomorrow, an A to G meeting, to talk about this. Looking at what can we do to help with our math scores? What can we do to help kids get more A to G with math? It's not just changing a requirement. It's also marrying that to professional development and to teacher support. So there's a lot of things that go together with that.
Well, and can I clarify, when you say, what can we do to improve our math scores, you're not just talking about CAS, right?
I'm talking about this too, like how can we get more kids college ready?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So there's that piece, there's the CAS, and college ready. The college and career indicator, and like you said, this takes a lot of metrics into account. It takes your dual enrollment classes. We have a number of those classes in our district right now. Not in our district, but at the college that kids take. We have our early college program that kids take advantage of, which I think is great. We had those 53 kids graduate last year. We have another cohort this year graduating. So we do have kids taking a lot of college courses. A lot of kids take college in the summer at UT College. We have Upward Bound. Kids who are entering freshman year, they take Upward Bound, they take health and counseling before they get to freshman year, some of our kids. So we do have that option for kids. This also takes into account our CTE rates. So we have a lot of pathways in our schools, both at Yuba City High School and River Valley High School. We have welding, ag, culinary, engineering, computer science, and we have a number of pathways at our schools. And we have about 36% of our seniors last year completed a pathway. And that means they took at least 2 courses in the pathway, which once again counts towards our measure. This also counts the state seal biliteracy, so kids who are biliterate, who take an exam, show proficiency on that. That also counts with this. So I think this is awesome. River Valley High School is almost at 50%. So if you district-wide, you look, we're at 33%. River Valley's at almost 50%.
Now, as far as the quality of this information, this metric, just checking, if I'm a sophomore, right, and I'm only halfway through my AG, right? Well, I wouldn't be considered college ready, although I'm on the path, maybe, right? So how does that factor in? Is this only seniors? Okay, thank you.
Yuba City High School is about 33%. And once again, all of this is based on our data we're getting from our information system, so it's really important we have accurate data. But like we said, we have a lot of kids taking AP. We have kids taking AP courses, kids taking college courses, and kids taking CTE courses. And so what we're providing them is opportunities, which I think is really important in our district that we're doing that. So our high schools should be really proud of what they're doing with their kids. And I want to give a shout out to our counselors who meet with these kids every week and then go with their 4-year plans. What do you want to do as you move forward to get out of high school? Well, I want to do this. Okay, let's look at this path for you. I want to go into the military. Well, let's look at what that looks like. I want to go to a 4-year. Okay, well, let's see. Have you taken IM2? No. Okay, well, have you taken IM3? No. Well, we got to get you there. So our counselors are doing a really good job working with our kids. Next steps, as we continue looking at our LCAP, like I said, this is just one metric. We still have our qualitative analysis to look at with our survey data we have to give out to our parents, our students, teachers, our staffs. We have to give our California Healthy Kids Survey in February to our students to get that information about school climate. We have to review our current programs and do an evaluation of how are they working. Our new LCAP actually looks at that. We have to actually look at our programs that are being funded and to write to the idea of like, is this working? So is this program, whatever it is this achieving the intended effect? And if it's not, well then basically we have to prune away what's not working, add in what's working, and develop a new 3-year LCAP. The sum of this stuff obviously is working. Our social workers, our counselors, our professional development, there's stuff that's really making growth for our kids. But this new 3-year LCAP, there is a requirement to do an evaluation of those programs, which I kind of find fun. And in June, that would be when we would come here and we would go over like that, the actual LCAP. So it's the next 5 to 6 month process, 5-month process, using a lot of information. And this is just, there is so much in this dashboard. Like if you go into the dashboard, there's matrices upon matrices. It is overwhelming actually how much information you have. But I just wanted to kind of give everybody an overview because there's just so much. But if you have information you want, any data that you want, please email me. I can send it to you guys. If there's something that you really want that wasn't presented or that you want to see, I can definitely try to get that for you.
Will we be able to see the site like drill down as you all are doing the LCAP and you were talking about each site having their own, like pulling not just CASP and not just all of these, but pulling also the data from their absentee coordinator, their attendance coordinator, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, in their site plans, they obviously have the state data. They have local data, but if you wanted more specific data like that, you'd have to let me know what you're looking for.
Oh, okay. I just figured it was part of your LCAP that you would, right?
Well, the LCAP has all of this information and it has local data. And so local data would be, for example, like our iReady program. Our iReady is K-12, and so we're able to track kids K-12, how they're doing in math and English. And that's local data, it's not state data. So that would be one example. We have EduPlanner would be another example where we could actually pull reports from each school for chronically absent students for suspension data. So yeah, we're going to use EduPlanner as part of the local data for LCAP, yeah.
For how, like, drilling down, because how can you choose a change or an improvement if you don't exactly know what part is broken, right?
Yes.
And, this, like you said, this is a untimely snapshot because it's not in
but it does give us some information. Like
right.
We know our students with disabilities aren't graduating at a high rate. They're at 60%. So for those 40% of kids who aren't graduating, we can actually find those kids in the dashboard. There's actual spreadsheets, like Excel spreadsheets, where it actually drills down our kids, and our staff know which kids those are. So like right now, we have spreadsheets for every single senior right now in our high schools and every reason why they might not graduate right now. Like we actually drill it down to that right now. So we know all the kids right now who are going to high set. We recommend a high set. We know all the kids who could be 5th year seniors because they're EL, and we have it drilled down to each specific student and a counselor.
Wow.
Just because that graduation data is so important that you can't let a kid ever not have a chance of graduating our district. So we do have that information. It might not be presented like that here, but we do have that information drilled down to the student.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All right, thank you, Dina. Moving forward to comments from the public on items not on the agenda, Madam Clerk, could you read the statement?
Item
item not appearing on the agenda, notice to the public, the Brown Act, specifically Government Code Section 54954.2, provides that no action or discussion shall be taken on any item unless it is adequately described in a timely posted agenda. Accordingly, though the public may comment on matters within the board's jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda, the board cannot respond to such comments without running the risk of deliberating or initiating discussion on topics not properly before the board. Given the prohibitions set forth in the Brown Act and the risk associated with responding to public comments, the board does not respond to the community's questions or comments. The board will respect the rights of the public to express their viewpoints on matters within the board's jurisdiction. However, comments that are defamatory or that violate the privacy rights of any students or individuals may not be protected by law. The board shall not permit any disturbance or willful interruption of board meetings.
Thank you. I'd like to recognize Laura Michelle. Submit a comment card.
You want me to come on, Mike?
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. A lot of really impressive information coming out of people in this district. It's really cool. My children went to YCUSD School District and my grandchildren. And so I live here, I hear about this district. This is kind of off the cuff. I happen to be a teacher for 30 years, and I was teaching at Johnson Park the year many decades ago when the shooting occurred at Lyndhurst. So Johnson Park was just on the other side of the chain link fence. So having gone through an experience like that, it's really real. Like, you know, it's not just stories on the other side of the country where it happened. It can happen. And we all are currently hearing stories now and then. So I think most often we don't anticipate that a catastrophe will occur. But I'm just curious in general, for everyday use and then possibly if a catastrophe did occur, what the general system is that's set up for security and safety for students and staff. And I realize it may differ between a primary grades in elementary school, junior high, or high school. But obviously you had no reason to be prepared for that. If anyone would like to offer some general information, I would like to hear it.
Thank you. I mean, this is a comment session, or comment time, so we hear the comment. If you wanted to send an email, I'm sure staff could respond as appropriate. Obviously, I know certain security things would not be shared publicly.
Correct. So you will be seeing, the board will be seeing the safety plans that will be coming forward, I believe, in the next month. So our sites are currently working on their safety plans that would have the protocols related to safety within them. But again, we don't share everything for reasons to ensure safety, so we don't share everything in our safety plans.
But so at that time you would have more current information?
Correct.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you. No further requests for comment were made. So with that, moving forward to the consent agenda, are there any questions? And if not, could I have a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
On a motion by member Priddy and a second by member Ciociola to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving forward to action, 13.1, first reading for proposed policy.
Yes, thank you. I'm just gathering my thoughts. I have the policies, and there's the index with the changes outlined in your board packet. This again is for first read, and any feedback regarding policy whenever it comes out at the next meeting. So I ask that you review those. If you have questions about this, please let me know.
Well, I had several questions. I let you know. But I'll reiterate AR 4218 with regards to the repayment plan, if that's a part of it. Remember, there's a question about that.
I'm sorry, which BP? I got distracted on the agenda.
Oh, it's not BP, it's AR 428. Oh, sorry, it is AR 51. Sorry, AR 4218 with regards to the timely hearing request and the payment of the salary should, et cetera.
Correct, so we'll bring that back to the next board meeting regarding, and this is the HR policy, just so you're aware in terms of related to and reimbursement following that. Did I get that right? Yes.
Right, following the conclusion of the hearing, in the disfavorable or favorable.
Correct.
Right. So I didn't see the detail on that law, if that was covered in that.
No further questions. Any other comments or questions? It's just the first week, so be sure to make those before the second.
Move that we approve 13.1.
I do not need the approval, it's just the first read. Moving forward to 13.2, Eleva 2-day program for after school.
Yeah, we currently contract with Levo for lunchtime recess programs for our kids for K-8. This is just an extension of that to after school. So like they mentioned with the after school coordinator, we have 1,300 kids who are serving at our schools. So this is like a sports program for our kids, social and emotional learning program. They do after school activities 2 days a week. It's coming out of our expanded learning grant and our ACES grant for after school. So we currently do have a contract with them. This is an extension of that contract to now provide after school services to the kids who are in the after school program.
Because they were doing recess.
Yeah.
Okay,
Any questions? If not, can I have a motion to approve?
so motion.
Second.
On a motion by member Ciociola and a second by member Pretty to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. I also forgot to note that President Donnie's absent, so of course she didn't vote. Moving forward to expulsions, suspended cases, could I have a motion on that?
I make a motion we approve as discussed.
Second.
On a motion by member Quilty and a second by member Lamb to approve as discussed in closed session. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving forward to surveillance security enhancements.
So just, I think it's laid out in the staff report, but essentially, our security cameras have deteriorated over the years, and so we tasked the technology department to really kind of assess what's working, what's not, and let's get what we have in place up and running. We're not really adding new security cameras, we're getting everything that is already installed. Well, we are replacing them in the spots that they are currently right now. And so, as you can see, it's a pretty substantial cost. So what we're looking to do is get everything going right now, and then have a budget, a replacement plan, so we don't get into this state in the future.
Questions. So my question is with regards to the surveillance cameras and the security measures. Are there people tasked with watching?
Nope.
This is not a proactive. It is more for reporting.
It is not a proactive system, and I will say this is interesting debate in school districts generally. I would say many districts, at least the districts I've been in the past, the security cameras were really asset protection, but they've turned into a little bit of, kind of
evidentiary.
Well, I wouldn't say that. After action reports, I guess, is a better way to explain that when incidences go down.
There are staff members at several schools who've requested additional security cameras because of student behaviors that are difficult to, we know it's happening, but we don't have any proof. So does this include any of those? I know, for example, at Yuba City High School, there's been a request for an additional camera like in the breezeway in the 100 building. Has any of that been approved?
I don't know anything about that specific one. Again, this is getting our existing cameras up and running. But again, it's not an actively monitored thing. So it's, again, really more of an after action report when it comes to student behavior.
Well, then if it is just replacing the things that have corroded or disintegrated over time, why the licensing?
kind of with all software nowadays, it turns to a license model, and that's what the security cameras are doing as well.
And each camera has its own license, has to have its own software, because you have 106 surveillance cameras and 106 licensing.
It's one software, but yeah, every camera connected to it is considered an, I don't know exactly how to do the pricing on
We
that.
love that, Bradley.
If there are no further questions, can I have a motion on 13.4?
Make a motion, we approve.
13.4. On a motion by member Quilty and a second by member Cord to approve. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving forward to 13.5, YCUSD's initial sunshine proposal.
So motion?
Second.
On a motion by member Suciola and a second by member Lamb to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Moving forward to board reports, information, discussion. I'll be attending the charter schools meeting tomorrow, right? I think
Yes.
the email is going all of this. Board meeting tomorrow, so I don't have anything to report presently. Anything else? Committees or anything? I don't think so. Written communications from the public we have done. Moving on to comments from employee representatives. Sorry, this thing skips away. Moving on to comments from employee representatives.
Good evening, board members, audience, and anybody out there watching. I'm Dale Lukens, President of the City Teachers Association, and good evening tonight. I look forward to our district engaging in the development of the new LCAP. It is critical that we continue to assess our programs. We continue to ask the question, what's working and what's not? And is it doing what we hoped it would do? So I look forward to this as an opportunity to engage all of our stakeholders in a process that allows us to make responsive and prudent decisions as to how we proceed and how we spend taxpayer dollars. So I look forward to that. This evening, your action proceeded quickly. The district presented their sunshine to open negotiations for a full book negotiations with YCTA. Our negotiations are governed by the Education Employment Relations Act, or ERA, and in section 3547 of that law, the initial proposal is presented at a public hearing. It gives the opportunity for the public to be aware and comment on the subject matter and proposals being negotiated. YCTA's opening proposal was presented to you in December. We clearly delineated the articles we intend to negotiate on and look forward to negotiating in good faith to reach a agreement that allows us to negotiate a 3-year contract with Yuba City Unified. And finally, in closing, I want to make one special call out. Katie Maple. Perhaps some of us remember the name when we taught at Yuba City High School, but Katie Maple this evening was made Vice Mayor of Sacramento City Council. So she's a Yuba City High School graduate, one we should be proud of. So I'll close on that note of things we can be proud of here at Yuba City Unified. We do a great job in sending our students off to the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Elena. Mercedes.
Good evening, board, staff, and members of the public. And it's really nice to have public in the audience when I'm up here to talk, because usually it's 15 and 9. So, appreciate y'all. My name is Mercedes Giraldo, and I am the president of Yuba City's chapter of the California School Employees Association, and I represent all of our classified employees. And some of us just got back from a break. We got to have that reset, and some of us didn't. Some of us still had to work. So while we were off taking our reset, or the kids were gone, they were getting their reset, things were still happening. We had filters on all of our air conditioning and heating units were changed to make sure that we had good air quality in our classrooms. Our floors were waxed. There is nothing better than to come back into school, the beginning of school after breaks, and see these shiny floors that look like, almost like water on top of their glass. They're beautiful. Our custodial staff does a great job. Our maintenance crews and our grounds crews were out there making sure that our projects that could get done, maybe with some inclement weather, but yet without kids there, they can get those done. Our payroll still happened. We still paid our bills. I'm sure ID did numerous different jobs during the break when those kiddos weren't in the classroom. So lots of work went on while some of us were taking a break and while some of us were still working, and we do appreciate that. I want to talk to our 2 employees that were recognized tonight. Tammy Eck. Tammy is one of my personal heroes because she will answer my call when I have a question on these service trackers that we have to do as special ed paraeducators to make sure that those kiddos are tracked and that they're being served. And that was a really big project that now that we're tracking the minutes and that sort of thing and getting all of us paras on board on how to do it and training us. And Tammy's just been such a wonderful support to us, and I really do appreciate her. Rachel Chavez. Rachel is a member of the executive board up until February 2nd. She's our site rep coordinator. And after that, Delana Hill will come on board as that site rep coordinator, who was duly elected at our last chapter meeting. Rachel has served on our negotiating team for 4 years, I think now, 3 or 4 years now. It's been a great asset to that to help advocate for the after-school program and those employees in the after-school program. Last year, we took on all those after-school employees as paraeducators, and Rachel's been really great on helping navigate that and making them all feel welcome, the ones that she comes in contact with. And trust me, Rachel might be 5 foot something, but she's got arms that extend throughout this whole district, and she is definitely going to be missed. I do appreciate her. As I mentioned, she is currently still an executive board member, and I was pretty excited when I sat down here. I had 5 executive board members here tonight including myself, and I was going to introduce them, but as you can see, Jeff was the last one that escaped on me, so I tried. But with that, I wish you all a happy new year, and I'm looking forward to 2024 and all the prosperity that brings.
Thank you. Moving forward to comments from board members. Hearing none. Comments from the superintendent?
Yes, so on Thursday, we have a special board meeting, and I'm hearing that there may be
Yes.
some attendance.
Yeah, it sounds like there were some attendance challenges for at least 3. I would be the 4th. I could make it, but also 3 aren't. It seems like perhaps it's best to reschedule. Is that the consensus of the board?
That many people are gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be is we consolidate it into the next governance training so that the board calendar would be addressed along with the governance handbook. So that was what was on the agenda rather than trying to find another date. So I'll talk with our CSB person.
We do have the materials to review in front of us, which should expedite that conversation and perhaps make consolidation a little easier because we can bring any notes or comments we might have ahead of time to that meeting. Any other comments? Okay. Our next regular board meeting is January 23rd with open session beginning at 7. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
On a motion by member Priddy and a second by member Lamb to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none.